Someone is following me. I know that for certain, but every time I turn around, they're gone in a rush of wind and leaves. I catch a small glimpse of them sometimes, a white van, a hooded figure slipping away into an alleyway. I don't know who they are, but I know why I'm being followed. It's because I'm dead. Was dead would probably be a more accurate statement because, well, obviously I'm not anymore. My name is Freya James, and 20 hours ago I woke up in my coffin. Some might call it a miracle, some might call it a second chance, but miracles don't exist. Fate doesn't exist. It's all just chance, either good or bad timing. Go to the wrong place, you end up dead. That's what happened to me after all. Arwen, you always believed that there was something out there, but I can say for certain that there isn't. No, death just takes you when it does. There's nothing you can do to stop it, because people don't just come back to life. The dead stay dead, no matter how much you want them to come back. I know that. As much as I wanted Mom to come back, she didn't. I learned that lesson a long time ago. How am I alive? How did you do all of this? I don't know how you could have, or if it even was you who brought me back. But whoever did do this, why? And how? The last thing I remember, well, I was dying. There wasn't a voice, the sight of a loved one, anything that they tell you. My life didn't flash before my eyes. I just remember thinking, wow, that's a lot of blood. And then wondering how I was going to get the stains out of my shirt. It's kind of a pathetic last thought, but what else was there to think about other than my own looming mortality? Morbid, huh? Death isn't lonely. How can you even be lonely when you don't exist anymore? When you can't even comprehend what loneliness is? It's just nothing. Incomprehensible nothingness. And then I was awake. Lying in a stone tomb, the faintest slivers of light coming in through the cracks. It was cold, that's what I remember first. I was shivering, my teeth chattering. Dead people don't need heat, so I guess that makes sense. Then it kind of clicked. I pounded on the lid, Arwen. I yelled for help, but no one came. It makes sense. Why would anyone be there? But all I could remember was that day, the one in the house where I died. The lid moved all of a sudden, crashing to the floor, and I sat up for the first time in 2 years. I was wearing a dress, one I doubt you picked out for me. It was probably my aunt, wasn't it? It seems like the kind of thing she would dress me up in, all white lace and frills. It was stiff, and God, that was the only thing I could think about for the first few minutes as I coughed up dusty, stale tomb air. How terrible that dress was. The mind is a strange thing, isn't it, Arwen? When the impossible or the incomprehensible occurs, we fixate on what we can understand, on what does make sense, instead of focusing on the unknown. So there I was, newly undead, thinking about how much I hated the dress they buried me in. They put me in my family's crypt. I know because I was buried beside Mom. It was strange to know that I had been buried mere feet away from a place where I often stood. The flowers that I laid on my mother's grave were long shriveled into dust, but I could still see the places where they once were. Someone left me roses. Was it you, Arwen? Well, I'm going to assume it was you. Or maybe my aunt, but I get the sense that she isn't one for hanging around tombs. Well, anyway, I appreciate the sentiment now that I actually can. Leaving flowers is a strange tradition, seeing as the dead can't see them from their coffins where they lie. But I digress. It was nice to see them there, a bright spot of red in the dark, drab gray of the stone crypt. They were a bit wilted, shriveled, and turning black, but I picked them up anyways, tucking one into the folds of my dress. Well, I made my way out of that tomb, Arwen. It was cloudy out, and it made me smile as the first fat droplets of rain landed on my outstretched hand. In a matter of seconds, I was drenched, but it felt good. It felt good to feel something again. I walked past rows and rows of tombs and headstones, crosses and squat buildings. The rain made it hard to see, but I could see the shapes of a few people standing around beneath the cover of wide black umbrellas. They didn't pay me any attention, but I wonder what they would have thought if they did. Would they have noticed the strange paleness to my skin and the blue of my veins? Would they have seen the layers of makeup running down my face, the makeup that they plastered to my face to make me seem less dead? There are things that no one notices. People don't pay attention to the everyday things. They move on their way, heads down, not paying attention to the world around them. Each in their own little bubble, they spread out until they find another one like them. like I found you, Arwen. But if they stopped for just a moment and looked around, they would notice the small things, like how the man across from them had 4 hands, or they would see the scaly creature that scuttled from out of the manhole and then down the next drain. Or maybe they would notice how the truck driver didn't have a face. It takes a specific kind of person to notice the abnormal. We were both like that, you and I. I wonder if anyone would realize it now. If they took a close enough look at me, would they recognize me? Maybe from a newspaper article, a talk show, an obituary? Or does no one remember me? That's possible too. The rain became heavier as I left the graveyard, and I walked down the empty streets. The few people that were out scattered and ran, not from me, from the rain. For a while, I wondered if anyone could even see me. Ghosts aren't so far-fetched, are they, Arwen, after all the things that we have seen? I don't believe in them, seeing as I'm not one, but if one did appear, I can't say that I would be surprised. It did cross my mind that I might be a ghost, but as I passed the library, a homeless man nodded to me smiling, so I assume I'm alive. Yes, I have a heartbeat and all that. I did check. I feel alive, but what is really feeling alive? I don't quite remember it. I still feel cold, but that might be because my clothes are still wet and my hair is damp. Is being cold a sign of being alive? Maybe. I don't know. I didn't exactly know where I was heading until I passed by the train station. I don't remember making the decision, but I was heading towards our houses. I hoped that you would be there, you and maybe my aunt. But when I got there, you weren't. Your old house was gone, flattened, several workers smoking outside of the construction zone. A new family was living in my old house, 2 moms and their little girl. She looked around 5 years old, her hair done up in pigtails, laughing as she chased after one of her moms. I watched her for a while, as creepy as that sounds. You can't really blame me though, can you? I was just dead. Seeing someone alive again felt right in that moment. So I turned and left. I didn't know where to go at this point, but I didn't want to get the police called on me. Most likely they would recognize me, and then the questions would start. Questions that I don't have the answers to. It was then that a newspaper caught my eye with the date printed across the top. March 28th, 2023. The date that I died was March 28th, 2021. Exactly 2 years ago. I don't know what that means, if it means anything at all. Maybe it's just coincidence, but the world quickly taught me that nothing is coincidence. It was the next day when I realized that I was being followed. That has to mean something too, I know it. I just don't know what it could mean. Does someone know why I'm alive again? What could they want from me? If so, why haven't they done anything? I'm alone and unprotected. I have nowhere to go, no idea what to do. I'd try to find you, but I don't know how I could. The world is so large and a single person is so small. What are the chances that 2 people even find each other again? Arwen, what happened? I don't even know if you're even still alive. No. I'm going to believe it. Or else, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. This new world is strange, Arwen. I don't recognize it. There are so many things I want to know. Like, who are these people following me? Why am I alive again? I wish you were here with me, but I'm alone and I don't know what to do. Why am I recording this? Well, because I guess I fear that I will disappear. Maybe return to death. Who knows? At least this will be a record that I was here, that I actually existed. Maybe by the time you get these, I'll be gone. But if you're out there, Arwen, and if you're listening, I'm coming. I'm going to find you.